just thought I'd make a bit of a video talking about prepping and whatnot. There's nothing wrong with stocking up a heap of stuff. It's not a bad idea. There's some things that I believe you better sort of to err on the side of being knowledgeable with edible weeds or being a bit more self-sufficient, so that if anything does happen, you're sort of half covered in your day-to-day life, and stock up on what you can't make terribly easily. I have a exceedingly large amount of laundry detergent, for example. There's nothing wrong with stocking up, but the way I see it, you sort of when it runs out, it's run out. You know, like prepping all this food up and all that, and then not knowing shit from shine or about how to grow food. You're better to actually obtain the skills to grow a bit of food and hoard up a bit of stuff. Easier still, just to identify edible weeds. And the fact of the matter is, you don't want to be relying on just a stash of food, you know, as your only option to see you through these things. But another thing I wanted to say was, some people prepping for some crap. I mean, I know that show, Doomsday Preppers, you know, was pretty good at making people look stupid. There's one bloke there who, you know, invites the neighbours over for a barbecue, and then they sort of, it's a bit like Michael Moore does a good one of doing this stuff. He's really well skilled at this. You sort of get people, you keep prodding them and you get them to spew their guts, and they had this bloke there sort of smiling as happy as Larry with his neighbours around him, talking that, you know, when the shit hits the fan, apocalypse comes or whatever, you know, he's would have no trouble shooting his neighbours. As they're sitting there having a barbecue with him, he's saying this stuff and they've got the cameras rolling, you think, my gosh. You know, and it has been said by quite a few people that they went out of their way to try and make people look stupid in that show. But one bloke there trying to get away from a, you know, possible volcanic eruption, and stuff arsing around with all this stuff, doesn't have anything organised properly. They go to do a dry run of a bug out, and, you know, oh, well, we'll be out of here by 30 minutes, and 4.5 hours later they're plodding out with everything in the wrong spot and not quite done right. And, you know, this is the thing, a lot of people don't ever do any dry runs of this sort of stuff. And, you know, if you want to be good, maybe you should do dry runs, you know, to know that there's a lot of things, unless you do it, you won't pick up on the problems with it. As I've experienced with the cardboard house, with the wood hot water system, and just living in off-grid in general, there's a lot of stuff you only find out when you actually go to do it. And all the theories you have are all great, and then you realise things that you didn't think had happened, like water trickling down from the wood hot water system, and you're sitting there thinking, shit, it's a leak, and it's just a condensation thing that occurs when you've got 92% humidity, you know, and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely do a dry run of a bug out. But when you're sort of half living a self-sufficient life and all that, there'll be no change in the way things will be for you. Like, let's face it, if we had, well, the power go down, it wouldn't mean a damn shit to me. It really wouldn't. I wouldn't know the flaming difference. You know, there's been times here where it's gone out and I haven't known until somebody else has told me. You know, even if, say, there's a bit of a petrol shortage or something, and I have seen a diesel shortage occur because of having a propane car and having all this other stuff on propane and having a jerry can and a full generator all the time. It wouldn't really affect me for a few weeks. You know, if petrol just bang become unavailable, like diesel did for about a week and a half at one point a couple of years ago when I was working at Air Radiators. But some of these things you see, like prep for reality, you know, people prepping for the friggin' Iraqis invading or the Chinese invading or the North Koreans nuking you or blah, 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 and get your hand out of your ass. Like, really, seriously. You know, North Koreans are, it's just a game. They're just playing the game to keep, you know, to keep you basically handing over US dollars to them, you know, to keep Japan supplying them with petrol and, you know, to have the young bloke do whatever else he wants and whatnot. And the reality is they're fumbling around with this crap, but it's only really scare tactics with North Korea. That's my belief anyway. But this whole idea that, you know, stick to reality when you prep sort of thing, you know, and having a full bloody surgery kit, I mean, as Patriot Nurse says, there's very few people who are skilled enough to do surgery, so why own a full-blown surgery kit? You know, there's probably better things you can spend your money on. You know, having a, well, concrete building or sort of an armoured building that you can live in for quite a while, or a hidden underground building, you know, would be a better way to spend your money. And you say, oh yeah, but a full surgery, yeah, a full surgery kit's probably pretty expensive. I don't know how much, but hiring out a bit of earth moving equipment for yourself for a short while to dig into the ground, you know, to create some sort of a shelter underground. I've seen a particular well-known prepper show one that was about 12 years he'd had stuff in this thing, and the walls hadn't caved in or anything on it, and it was just bare dirt. It was a hole dug, and this is an old stump we used to do in Western Australia to make cubby houses. You'd get out there with the backhoe and dig a whole heap of tunnels. Then you put corrugated iron down, and then you pour sand over the top of corrugated iron. And they held up fine, and I played in a number of ones of those because a number of kids around the district had those. In actual fact, I had one myself, and I might as well talk about that. That was actually dug out, and then there were steel posts put in that had corrugated iron sheets holding the sand up, but other kids just had bare sand. And mine had a little fiberglass roof on it and everything. It was quite good, actually. Even a little stairway going down into it. My dad made all this, you know, he's more competent than I am making a whole lot of things. But, you know, something like that would be a better spend of money than some blooming fandangle surgery kit for when the Chinese invade, or some highfalutin la-la idea, you know. Keep your ideas of prepping to your realistic circumstances that are likely to happen, you know. And I'm not saying don't learn about nuclear, and I should talk more about nuclear as well and teach you guys a bit of stuff about that, because I understand a bit about that. And I also know that large propane bottles stand up to a nuclear blast without too much of a trouble, believe it or not, as shown in footage that I have of Operation Teapot, I think it is. Yeah. Anyway, just a bit of my thoughts on, you know, prepping and keeping it real.